Hello everybody, welcome back to, well, I suppose it will be another one of these in a minute. I know it's been a while since I recorded anything. I've just been kind of, not necessarily in the doldrums, just haven't had much inspiration. What have I done since I saw you last? I went to Belgium. I must have mentioned that before. Found a torture museum just off the main square in Bruges. That was interesting. Bought chocolate, saw very strange golden vehicles and people. It was like going around the back of Leicester Square with all the buskers are, but much more annoying. Binge watched Boys Season 4 and then watched Gen V Season 1, which I retrospect I should have done the wrong way round because it explains what happens with two of the characters. But anyway. So what else have I been up to? Basically, getting a little bit disenamoured, if that's even a real word, with the Final Experiment. Now, I know a lot of people are putting a lot of stake in this, and the reason for that is... obviously, Will Duffy, with the very best of intentions, started up this project where he was going to use some of his own money to send one flat earther and one, call it a globe earther, but just a realist, to Antarctica to observe the 24-hour sun in December because of the axial tilt of the Earth and etc. This has been explained 100 times in several other videos. Unfortunately, what's the thing? The root of good intentions is paid with gold, or whatever the hell the expression is. I can't remember. And as much as I respect Will Duffy for what he's doing, I think it's a little bit naive for him to have thought that everybody would just bow down and accept the results. Indeed, the backlash has been quite prolific. I mean, one particular person, naming no names, has got all borderline obsessed about it.
So about a week away from YouTube, and I was kind of hoping when I came back that a lot of the silliness had calmed down relating to the Final Experiment. The sad truth about the Final Experiment. Essentially, Jeren has already shut down this Final Experiment 6 months before it's supposed to begin. Now we need to address this little bit of propaganda from Jeren. It's obvious they're trying to hijack demonstrable reality. Jerenism exposes himself trying to save the Final Experiment. Okay, today we're going to look at demonstrable reality, and you guessed it, the Final Experiment. So the truth is out regarding Will Duffy, the man who's put together this Final Experiment trying to prove the globe earth theory. About a month ago I became aware of a channel called the Final Experiment.
I want you to understand how painful it was for me to make that little montage. I don't make videos about him anymore because I've come to become allergic to the sound of his voice. And I'm not saying that against anything personally, just the condescending tone and the incredible amounts of self-confidence in something in which he knows absolutely nothing actually makes me feel unwell. And I do suffer from something what's known as misophonia. You may have heard about this. It's where you can't stand the sound of people eating or masticating beside you, or any annoying noises, something like that. I cannot hear or cannot stand to hear two different songs at the same time with different tempos. In the office I work, sometimes my manager has got his little office, and he has one tune, and we've got the radio coming out the TV in the other room. And if there are disparate types of music and different, just cannot. It gives me real bad heebie-jeebies. And I've realised, and I've actually come to feel that same way about Level Up Observer's voice. So if anything, it's a saving grace that I probably won't be doing anything about him again, because I genuinely, and I mean this from the bottom of my heart, I cannot stand the sound of his voice anymore. But anyway, back to the Final Experiment. Yes, flat earthers are absolutely terrified. And they are making up the most outlandish bollocks to try and preemptively debunk the results. So this was my little demonstration of the flat earth as seen by a flat earther. And the problem's going to be that, as far as the flat earthers are concerned, the South Pole, or Antarctica, goes around the outside. Their sun follows this trajectory, give or take a few 100 miles on their planet, on their globe, their model, I presume. And so for them to be standing at one point, they would see the sun following that path. And because of their obsession with P900s and super zooms on cameras, and all about perspective and things like that, they should be able to observe the sun getting smaller, but also coming back on itself. Now, obviously, if you're on a globe. Now, the only balls I have, so to speak, are my comically green Chinese meditation balls. You can see the outline, so that'll do. So obviously, if you're standing on the bottom of the ball and you are going around the sun, you are going to see the model's been done. The sun circling around behind you. Now, every debate and people like that have always said that. I think David Rice also said it at some point that if a 24-hour sun is observed, then it does indeed debunk the flat Earth theory. Now it's actually becoming a corporeal reality that a flat earther, Jaren in this example, and Whitsitt, I believe, Nathan Whitsitt, are going to go and observe. Not only are flat earthers coming up with every excuse under the sun why a 24-hour sun doesn't prove a globe Earth, but they're also basically vilifying and basically denigrating not only Will Duffy but Jaren himself. Jaren, who up until recently was a staunch flat earther, but even he is coming around for the very simple reason everybody's calling him a liar, everybody's calling him a shill. Obviously he's taking it seriously, and personally, anyone else on the planet would have actually seen this coming. It was a foregone conclusion. And like I said earlier, with no disrespect meant to whatsoever to Will Duffy, but very naive to think that anybody would say, well, I was wrong. I'm going to delete every video off my YouTube channel, and I'm going to flip the switch. As I think Dan said the other week, Jaren, if he does indeed go through with this in December, he's got a brilliant career ahead of him as a flat earth debunker, because he's going to be seeing it with his own eyes, and he will be seeing it with his own eyes. Dave McKeegan is also going. He's going to be taking all the photographic equipment he can muster, and they're talking about linking up to Starlink satellites so they can do live streams from the 24-hour sun. Obviously, one of the issues is, of course, they might be there for a few days. They've got to sleep. So unless someone's actually willing to stay up and observe the sun for the full 24 hours, then they can say they faked it. I'm reminded of Flat Earth Banjo, I think his name's Flat Earth Banjo, saying that there were three options. Jaren was going to unalive Whitsitt. Whitsitt was going to unalive Jaren. They're both paid shills. It's all going to be fake. Or there's going to be a sun simulator loaded on the back of a lorry and driven around them very, very slowly. 15 degrees an hour. Thanks, Bob. All the way around them to simulate the sun. Now, obviously, the sun simulator, there's no such thing as a solar simulator that is inside a warehouse somewhere that simulates solar rays. So I'm very pink, and I'll tell you why. I've got my blackout blinds closed, I've got the windows shut, and I can't turn my fan on because it buggers up my green screen. I'm not sweating like a pig, but I'm very, very warm indeed. So I'm going to try and keep this short because 30 degrees centigrade today, which is double it at 30. It doesn't sound like it's only 90, but we're not used to this type of weather, honestly. And I've completely thrown off my chroma key. My colours are gone. Anyway, well, there's two ways of looking at it. To think that everybody would stand up and say, yeah, okay, we were wrong, you were right. That's not in a flat earther's blood. They cannot admit defeat. As I said before in my video that I highlighted on the video I did with Dan, our flat earthers really stupid. They suffer from a form of schizotypy or schizotypal personality disorder. It doesn't matter if footage is going to be shown, even live footage through Dave McKeegan's setup, proving a 24-hour sun in real time. They will not believe it. They cannot psychologically absorb that information. They just can't do it. Yes, to that end, it does seem a little bit hoping for the best, so to speak. I think Will Duffy, there was a video going around, on his channel saying he wanted to bring people together. He wanted to create a form of unity between flat earthers and globe earthers, which is amazingly, I don't want to say naive, keep saying naive, but it's hopeful. In an ideal world, that would be the situation. But it's kind of as we know, it's not something that needs proving. There is no flat Earth. There is no flat Earth model. We have been to space. The blue marble photo is real. We have been to space. We have been to the moon, and at some stage we will go back to the moon, and we will go further on to Mars. All those facts do not need the approval of flat earthers for those things to happen. they're going to happen whether they want them to or not. But, you know, they'll carry on not believing it and trying to disprove it and curating their comment section so that they only get approving comments and little slaps on the back from their, you know, baying masses, so to speak. So, yeah, I mean, that was my little rant on the Final Experiment. I wish them all the very best. I'm slightly jealous I wasn't invited, but then again, I am a very small fish in a very large pond. It's going to be an adventure. I hope they thoroughly enjoy themselves, and I hope they do get the results they want to, and I do hope that German comes away with something that doesn't involve death threats or unaliving threats, so to speak. The challenge went out to all flat earthers. David Rice has often been the one who said that a 24-hour sun at the South Pole or in Antarctica disproves the globe, but then obviously he's gone back on his word and is still trying to peddle his app because it's the only way he makes money, because he has no other talent. Okay, so that'll do for the Final Experiment. As I said, all very noble, a good cause. I mean, Will Duffy's paying for it out of his own pocket, but at the expense of the actual goals he was trying to achieve. No one will accept it, which is a shame, because it's going to be the perfect proof, because you're going to have a flat earth at the South Pole who says, holy crap, I was wrong. And Jaron, by the sounds of all the videos and podcasts and everything he's been doing since, he is 100% willing to accept the evidence. And to his massive credit, he's the only one who seems to have done that. David Rice ran a mile. He was offered, he refused, and now he's going on, you know, all these chat shows, you know, all these people that beg him to come on because, you know, Roseanne Barr got him on. You think you might as well have been interviewed by Andrew Tate. That amount of credibility. I mean, it's like the debunking I did on ZZZ, whatever, ZTV people. That woman was like a survivalist, something or other. Get yourself down in your bunker when the revolution comes, something along those lines. But anyway, so enough for the Final Experiment. One thing I am going to talk about is a short video that turned up on one of my reels. I did the guy with the cheese on his head. There's another guy. I think he's also religious. I'm not entirely sure who he is or what his name is. It's gonna the little TikTok. This will all come back to me once I start watching the video, because I haven't actually cut it yet. This is how I'm doing it on the fly, because I'm dynamic and I'm young and hip. And okay, enough of that. So let's get down and watch this guy. He has a few videos, and I do think he is also religious, because he ends up, well, you'll see.
Come here, I need to show you something.
Okay.
Today is March 26, 5:57 p.m. There is a flight from New York to Tashkent. This flight took off from New York and is above Iceland right now, and it's going to Tashkent.
Well, as of the time of recording, flight UZB 102 has indeed just taken off from New York JFK International Airport on its way to Tashkent, UZB 102. Actual time, when did it take off? I don't know. I'm very tired and I can't read this thing. But it appears to be on its way, and it is indeed heading over the north of Iceland. I wonder why that is.
Here is New York with a ruler directly to Tashkent, completely level and straight.
But that's the Mercator map, a flat representation of the globe Earth. We've gone over this before.
So New York, Tashkent. Why is this plane above Iceland? Why is this plane above Iceland from New York to Tashkent?
That's because you're not using the correct map. You need to put the line on a globe.
And before anybody comes at me saying, oh, put the line on the globe.
Sorry.
New York to Tashkent, still below Iceland. It is still flight pattern below Iceland on a globe. Straight line.
Hang on. Let's have a look at that globe again. You're just resting the string around the top of the globe. Are you not pulling tight? If you pulled it tight, then you get more accurate. Look, I'll show you what I mean. God, it's like teaching a toddler how to wipe his arse around here. Where's Google Maps? Well, I'm not going to lie. I didn't actually have to Google Tashkent because I had no idea where it is. Apparently it's the capital of Uzbekistan, quite near to Kazakhstan. Very nice. And I would wager that the only reason this particular person singled out Tashkent is because the only one that fit his narrative at the time. Now, or is on a similar latitude to New York, whoever. You know what these people are like. Anyway, so, one thing about Google Maps, now I use Google Maps rather than Google Earth, because I find it affords me more tools. Unfortunately, my graphics card is really not keeping up. There's a whole drama to do with graphics cards I've been trying to cope with this week, but I'm not going to bore you with that. That's for another time. But pay attention. But if you know anything about graphic cards and motherboards, pay attention to the end of the video. I've got a question to ask. Anyway, so what you can do in Google Earth, if you go down to the tabs down the bottom and hit more, there's two things you can do: the globe view or default view, which is what I'm on right now. But I'm more interested in the measure. I think I've used this before, but let's go. So we're going to do right in the middle of Tashkent, and we're going to scroll all the way out to Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, Poland. There's my house. Hello. Go back into New York, and let's say JFK. Now, I know LaGuardia is on the right, Newark's on the left. Again, I apologise for the slowness of my graphics card. Let's just go in the middle of Manhattan, just for the sake of argument. And as you can see, the flight path, even though it is landing right in the middle of Times Square, I assume, it's quite near Ghostbusters HQ, all completely by accident. Yeah, you can see, as I pan out, this flight path does indeed go all the way over Iceland. Goes over Greenland, Iceland, top of Finland, Sweden, Norway, all the way down through the disputed zone and into Uzbekistan. Now, as I've probably surmised, that's pretty much on a straight line going across there. So that is probably why he's chosen this particular one. But if I keep the measure on and I hit this little tab down here, bingo. That's why it's a straight line. That's why it goes north of Iceland. Because of the Great Circle navigation, that is exactly why. It's the Great Circle. You know, you can do this all day. Now, they always concentrate on flights in the Northern Hemisphere, because it doesn't make much sense to do it in the South. But as you can see, when you put flight paths, straight lines on a globe, stretch it out to the Mercator map, which they do love concentrating on, you get this kind of wacky shenanigans. So yeah. But what happens next is even funnier.
It is so ridiculously easy to debunk the globe. Oh, that's why. Here's Iceland. There's New York. Oh, that's why. Completely straight flight on a flat Earth map.
Wait, so earlier you used the Mercator map to judge a perfectly straight flight path, and now you're using the flat map? So which one is it? Look, I know you guys don't actually have a model to work with, but flipping between one to the other but within 20 seconds, that's impressive.
Guys, boom, boom. Y'all, if you have not done research on Genesis 1:6 about the firmament, please do so. The firmament is Rakia H7549. It is the solid surface, expanse, firmament, flat as base support of the vault of heaven supporting the waters above.
And that explains the rest of it. Using two different flat maps and falsifying a physical experiment because you've misunderstood something that was written in the Bible and you don't want anything coming between you and your magical sky fairy. Well, apparently that chap's name is Alpha and Omega 985 on TikTok. Look him up if you want to laugh, I suppose. But it's honestly, he's got all the religious whatever behind him, but he's almost seriously no better or worse than the guy who makes the stupid laughing noises with a lump of cheese on his head. Thanks very much for watching. Thanks very much for sticking around. And please, if you got to the end, then thank you. I know I haven't been posting in a while. Seriously, the impetus at the moment just hasn't been there because the environment has been completely flooded with this flat Earth experiment, which I'm personally looking forward to. But it's kind of shallow. Sorry, got completely distracted. Then my friend Abby just popped up on WhatsApp. She's watching The Boys. I've been completely stunned. Yes, she's watching The Boys. Bless her. My recommendation. Anyway, so complete sidebar. Hi Abby, by the way. So where the hell was I? Final Experiment, because it's coming. It's getting ever closer, ever closer. I know it's August, but the year is going by so fast, and before we know it, it will be December. The Final Experiment will have come and gone, and it will be definitive. Flat Earthers and Globe Earthers will witness a 24-hour sun. People live on Antarctica. People work for months on Antarctica. They see the 24-hour sun on a daily basis during the winter months. It's been observed. It's been recorded. But this somehow makes it more definitive for the Flat Earthers because one of their kind is going. And that's absolutely 100% freaking them out. It will be interesting But as I said before, it's not going to make a blind bit of difference. These people are psychologically incapable of accepting any result one way or the other that will contradict what they one, what they previously believed, or two, what they make a load of money out of. David Weiss, yes, we're looking at you, you hack. One last question, and this is only for real tech heads, okay? Max, my son, has got a new PC, and this is going to be a personal quest, okay? I have got 4 PCIe slots on my motherboard. PCIe 16 is the one I put in the new graphics card into. Nothing is showing up in BIOS. I flashed my BIOS to the newest version, which I think was 2007. The motherboard itself is about 10 years old. It's a DQ77P Intel. The card is an RTX 3050 Asus. I'm plugging it in. It's exactly the same setup. I've got a 6x2 pin, HDMI out. It's all secured in place. It's exactly the same. The fan's coming on, no output whatsoever. I used a VGA cable to connect the motherboard directly to the monitor, and it basically the screen came up like this. All slots empty. I've asked a few people, and I know the graphics card didn't dead because I've tried it again in another motherboard, and it seems to work fine. So is it just a compatibility between my 10-year-old motherboard and the 3-year-old graphics card? Because I've been told it shouldn't affect it. But anyway, that probably didn't make any sense to anybody apart from people who know what I'm talking about. And I love having conversations like that. But anyway, that was my personal question. Thank you very much for watching for that one. That'll do for now. I am amazingly pink, but like I said, it is amazingly warm. Fingers crossed it won't be so long until I do another video. I'll get back to you when I can. That'll do for today. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.